This is how they get you. It's kind of comical because once you understand numerology and gematria and they use the same numbers over and over and over again, it becomes pattern recognition. Okay? I've seen a lot of football players die and it be because of numerology. I've seen a lot of celebrities die and it be because of numerology. And it's always when they're by themselves, they're found dead in a hotel, or some craziness that they attach it to. And no one can know what's the real truth because they're really that slick with it if you don't have your eyes open. So it's funny to me that these people do not like me. They do not like me around when I was there. When I was in the world, they didn't want me around. So all of a sudden, they're going to give me a presentation after me saying football had been rigged, after me saying their family did everything they did, all this stuff I've been talking that smoke, and they want to invite me into an award show to give me a special award for something.
Right now, Larry Johnson's calling in, you guys, so we're going to go to Larry Johnson right now. Larry, do I have you on the line?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for phoning in. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
So for our listening audience, this is Larry Johnson, former great running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, who's recently become one of the biggest truth speakers online that I'm very grateful for, and he's even given some shout-outs to this knowledge of Gematria, which I very much appreciate. Larry, since we got you, what has inspired you to do what you're doing right now?
Just the fact that I know what it's like to be fooled. I know what it's like to be tricked and hoodwinked and bamboozled. So I don't want this generation to fall under the same spell I fell under and not be able to come out of it, because my belief is that the time is growing short. You see the evil picking up more and more each month. It's always something new, something disgusting, and I want people to understand there's a way out of it if they understand the truth of all of it.
Indeed. Larry, did you watch the college football championship this year?
No, I didn't, but I saw some of the scores and all that, so I really don't really pay attention to it anymore.
Well, were you aware that in the fourth quarter, the announcer did a numerology lesson on the death of Billy Cannon, the former Heisman winner for LSU, who beat Clemson the same year in the championship in New Orleans?
Oh, that's what, yeah, I heard of that.
Okay, so the thing that's beyond coincidence is that the same day that Billy Cannon died is the same day that Joe Burrow transferred to LSU. And, of course, went on to win the Heisman and then the championship over Clemson in New Orleans. So, a perfect mirror of what Billy Cannon accomplished. And Billy Cannon did it 60 years before him, and Joe Burrow had 60 passing touchdowns this year. The announcer made a point about several of these things, and for years I've been saying that all of this stuff is perfectly scripted from college to pro, and it's all ritual. I've heard you say as a player, you didn't really see the rigging while you're in the game, but you see it now. Do you think that any of the games that you were in as a college player, there could have been a perfect fix-in on?
I wouldn't say it, not in college, because we weren't really ranked. I think that stuff only kind of happens with teams that are ranked, and it's supposed to convey some type of weird message under this matrix. When I was playing, I just didn't see any of those games. Like, I was with Joe Paterno where he made all of those specific games where he broke records as far as being the all-time winning coach. I was with him, and none of those games seemed fixed. Those games seemed like, anything was done with them. But I don't know. Like, being a player, you are under the matrix. You're under this system where you can't even tell what's going on. You just feel like you're playing and everything is the plays. And when you get to the league, you feel like, oh, guys are making, plays. And when you look at the game now, you can tell something's not right.
And it seems to get more and more far-fetched every year, if you will. Just the incredible comebacks. And, I hear what you're saying. So, Larry, just so you know, when you called in, we're getting close to the commercial break. We got quick commercial breaks. It's coming up in 3 minutes. But if you can stay with me through the commercial break, I'd appreciate it. But just before we get there, I've also heard you say that you're not sure the games were fixed in the time you were in the NFL. But here's my perspective as an outsider looking in. I was wide awake when 9/11 happened, and the Patriot Act, and then all of a sudden the New England Patriots were the greatest team there ever was. And I just thought, look at it. I mean, 9/11, Patriot Act, Patriots. Drew Bledsoe's career is ended by a New York Jet with the Patriots, essentially. You know, like the New York Jets took down the towers, and they look like massive 11s in New York, the 11th state, on the 11th of the month, and Bledsoe wore 11. I was just looking at all that back then. I didn't know Gematria, but I just saw there was some sort of rituals going on, a national emergency on 911. I mean, looking back, maybe you didn't realize it was fixed while you're in the league, but I've heard you say you're not sure if it was fixed. You know, then don't you think, like, all of that's probably beyond coincidence?
Yeah, it's got to be a beyond coincidence, but people don't really understand this part of it. It's entertainment. That is why after every game, NFL always plays that goofy little jingle at the end of it where they spin the shield around and say, this has been a presentation of the National Football League. They're telling you it's a presentation. It's entertainment. It's supposed to trick you or is witchcraft into making you think that it's just like a game outside with your boys. When it's not, it's a presentation. They're presenting you a specific product, and they know they've been changing it enough to match their weird little satanic agenda. But if you look at the Atlanta Falcons game and Tom Brady, that one of those comebacks, I knew something wasn't right. And when you look at the Rams game and the Patriots game, you knew something wasn't right. I knew something wasn't right because they were playing defense 3 to 4 deep, when they allowed Edelman to all of a sudden run these weird 5 and 10 yard ends, and he made an NFL MVP, a Super Bowl MVP off that game by just running drags. Now Marcus Peters, they got the fastest backfield. How can you let Edelman burn you on the underneath unless they're telling you that we're going to make him get the Super Bowl MVP, and we're going to back all the DBs and linebackers up so he can have the under routes?
Indeed. I'm saying the exact same things. And then you learn Gematria, you realize things like Super Bowl most valuable player sums to 108. The Super Bowl last year was exactly 108 days from Edelman's birthday, and that's a special number. There's a reason they sew 108 game balls for the Super Bowl. In Gematria, geometry equals 108, and the shape of the footballs, the Vesica Pisces, one of the most important shapes in sacred geometry. Vesica Pisces equals 53, while you got that 53 and a third yard wide field and 53-man roster. Larry, we're about to hit the commercial break. It's just a 2-minute break. You know what? Since we're on YouTube streaming too, we can still talk through the break. The people on the air will miss it. For people on the air, if you want to flip over to YouTube, GematriaEffectNews, you can hear us talk through the break. But yeah, we'll just continue on, Larry. So what I wonder is, I mean, you're really putting yourself out there as a professional athlete, and I heard you do another interview and say, you know, your livelihood still kind of depends on the NFL because essentially your NFL pension. I mean, do you feel like you're putting yourself in danger of financial punishment or worse doing this?
No, not really. I don't think so. I mean, obviously, say like this, if they cut off my pension and all that, and I end up going crazy or something happens to me where I lose my mind or something and I end up hurting somebody, they could sue the NFL. And they could sue the NFL for hundreds of billions because you took away a guy who needed the money to survive or live. They could look at it like that. So I don't think it's that deep enough. I think we're so far gone in this matrix system, it don't really matter what I say. People think I'm crazy anyway. So this one person is not really going to change what their program is already is. Like you said, like this program been set 100 to 200 years before this even happened. Like these things are set. They're on a, like, it's on autopilot right now. So me talking about this really doesn't make any difference. It may wake up like maybe a couple 100, 200 people here and there, but it's not really going to change and destroy the system.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's tough to beat this system. People are really invested in the Matrix. I try to remain optimistic and think. I read a book long ago when I was a teenager and feeling somewhat hopeless about what was going on in the world, and it was about how you need 20% of a population to change the minds of the other 80%. And it is difficult to get 2 out of 10 people in this society, because I'd say about 1 in 100 are awake, maybe a little bit better than that. But I still maintain this optimism. And I got to admit, I see you on Twitter. You have hundreds of people sharing all your stuff. And I wish it was thousands and tens of thousands. But if you keep at it, it could get to be that. So with what you just said, the people who are close to you, like your closest friends and family, what's happened in the time you've been speaking out?
I don't have any closer friends or family anymore. I barely even speak to my own family these days. And that's because when you speak more truth and it goes against people who are working in that system, it's kind of embarrassing. It makes me look even more insane, because if you got a family that's invested in this system and in this matrix, it's hard to try to pull them out of it because their identity is attached to this system. So I can't really do anything. Their success is, who they are, the reputation is all based on this matrix system, and I can't pull them out of it. So I kind of distance myself away, and hopefully they find out sooner or later. But it's going to be really getting harder. More and more we go into this, it's going to be harder to escape it, because these things are happening for a reason. I think if you see the way Satanism has just really creeped into the sports arena, it's going to be, the bottom's going to fall out one day. And I feel fear for a lot of people who are thinking that we have a lot of time left to just mess around, and we don't. Professional athletes like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, they're doing satanic things inside those sports systems. And I don't think people are fully awake to what's going on.
So that's another question I have for you, because I agree. The controllers of these leagues, the media, the powers that shouldn't be, as I call them, they are absolutely Luciferian or satanic. They do not have positive intentions, and they have essentially what I would refer to as their puppets, their top entertainers, their top athletes, going out and carrying out their rituals. Did you ever get a hint of this or a taste of this when you were playing in the NFL?
This the funny part. Like, I signed I signed a modeling deal with Rockaware to just wear Rockaware and be in the shows. Then I signed a S. Dark Carter cleat deal just to wear the Jay-Z's cleat deal that he had with Reebok, and he paid me for that. And at the time, I was in the end zone throwing up the diamond. See, I'm thinking it was just strictly rap and hip-hop, and it was from Rockefeller, not knowing I'm throwing up Masonic pyramids. So then I stepped back and looked at this after I was done. I felt really ashamed that I was doing it. I was embarrassed that, damn, this is what I was doing the whole time. I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't really see the really satanic side of it, because I was so locked into the witchcraft. I thought I was, representing Jay-Z, but it's come to find out he's a Luciferian. And, his wife's a Luciferian. Like, it goes so far deep into it that I just didn't dig hard enough.
Sure. Okay, so I've received a lot of criticism for putting a lot of the blame on Freemasonry for what I see going on in the world, and I've seen that you're also talking about Freemasonry. And again, the point I come from is I realize, okay, this nation, founded by many Masons, the nation's capital is named after a Freemason. This is the most powerful secret society in the world, and it has been around for a long time. It's well established. It's had millions of members for centuries. And Masonry has so much influence. American football is credited to the Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp. American baseball is credited to the Freemason Abner Doubleday, and you can go right on down the list. So I just see so much influence from these secret societies, and then I see the numerical rituals, the Gematria. All of this stuff is Masonic. What is it that made you start calling out Masonry's role in this?
Because I started digging deep. I did the same thing you did. I was like, well, all right, I knew Jay-Z had saw the pictures of him being a Freemason. But then you start digging, and like you said, George Washington, then you start understanding the link between all of these pagan gods that they worship. And then I started seeing rap stars go from, go from putting their fist in the air to start doing double horns. Then I started connecting to that, and then they start. Now I started seeing all these goat references. Everybody has to have a goat and everything, and then I saw Tom Brady with a goat and everything. So to me, I was just more paying attention to the symbolism more than anything, because I seen people actually change over time. And I was like, when did black folks start doing devil horns? I thought that was like a rock and roll thing in the 70s, but they had adapted that symbology, and so that made me start digging more and knowing that it was more about Masons, because they have the same color coding at the black and white checkerboard. And if it's the black and white checkerboard, they have the Eye of Horus. Then it's the pyramid, and it kind of snowballs from there.
Indeed. It just seems that if you do your homework in this area, it's going to lead you in that direction. And I will say that there's other powerful secret societies. There's Jesuits, there's Knights of Malta, there's Knights Templar, but at the core, they're all Masonic. Okay, so